Hey, this is Steve Grumbine with Real Progressives. Hello, everyone. I was thinking about this today as I interviewed Nathan Tankus, and we were talking at length about all the interconnecting pieces of not only a Green New Deal, but all the systematic or systemic inequity that's in our political system, our economic system, and just in general, the way we view one another as regular people. You know, the problems that we have are always interconnected. Whenever you hit a domino, it knocks other dominoes down. It's not like it's just a one and done, right? We don't go to Ruth's Chris Steakhouse and order from the a la carte menu. Everything we do has a ripple effect. Everything we do touches other things. And so when you're looking at policy and when you're looking at the progressive agenda as a whole, it's very important that you look at it systematically, that you look at it systemically, and you look at where all the dependencies and predecessors and all the interoperability points, these interconnecting joints, if you will, happen. And the Green New Deal is probably the most important one of the bunch. Now, I know populism is great. There's a lot of wonderful aspects about populism. But uninformed populism is just as bad as any kind of the propaganda that the mainstream can shove down our throats. And I'll tell you why. With the mainstream shoving stuff down our throats, we at least understand that their goal is to gaslight us, that their goal is to screw us up and to take our eyes off the prize and to serve capital and serve wealth and sort of make us feel comfortable with eating our peas. But when we do it, when we bastardize something, when we screw something up, when the storyline becomes the folklore and we stop understanding what the real situation is at hand, we create all kinds of bastardized solutions, thinking that we're doing the right thing. And maybe that's the most painful part of it is we think we're doing the right thing. But in reality, we didn't consider the fallout. The guy that gets angry at some dude that's talking to his girlfriend and goes into the bar and acts like a friggin' idiot and punches the guy square in the face and finds out, oh snap, it was her long lost brother. She was just talking to him. But he had to react before he knew. Before he took the time to figure it out, he just went ahead and let personal populism get the better of him and he ran off and did something and it turned out to be fucking pretty boneheaded, right? Well, that's what I see happening right now. And I'm going to take the Off Fossil Fuels Act and the Green New Deal, and I'm going to compare and contrast them to some extent. And I'm going to show you how people that don't take the time to figure out that it's the girl's brother in the bar, not some dude trying to mac on your chick, okay, how that impatient lack of curiosity, lack of digging in, following people that are not really in tune with policy making and coming up with these phantom ideas on why this is better than the other. It's just pure poppycock. It's just bullshit in a chef's salad. So first things first, the Green New Deal, everybody says, is just a framework. It's just a framework, guys. It doesn't mean anything. Well, here's the problem. The minute you start cutting fossil fuel jobs, the minute you start cutting the coal industry, the minute you start doing anything like that, you impact tons of people. Tons of people. We're not just talking about the greatness that comes from having green energy. We're talking about the families that live in coal mining towns. We're talking about the children of parents that have people that work in the coal mining industry. We're not just talking about rich oligarchs here. So we got to actually take a moment, breathe, and realize that when we talk about fossil fuels, we're not just talking about the fat cats that rake in all the money. We're talking about these blue collar folks that have cancer already from having black lung, okay, and that we're ready to move on. Well, that's fine. We need to move on. We need to get rid of our dependency on fossil fuels and move to a renewable economy yesterday, like ASAP. We got like no time to waste. But the problem here is that to reconstruct society and to provide the framework for mobilizing, as cataclysmic climate change passes through, it is bigger than just all fossil fuels. The job guarantee aspect of the Green New Deal is a core component of what we call a just transition. See, it's not just getting off fossil fuels. It's also about transitioning all those people that are stuck in those bad jobs, so to speak, those environment-killing jobs, and providing them a pathway to wholeness so their families don't fall apart and we don't destroy entire communities. But they have politics that are different than what you like, so they shouldn't eat, right? And they shouldn't have shelter. Wrong. The goal of a Green New Deal is to make society sustainable in this move to green energy, away from fossil fuels, and to prepare for the very real environmental disasters that are coming. The perpetual forest fires in California, the sinking away of Florida, the new ice melts that are bringing about all kinds of old diseases from the past, the hurricanes that destroy Puerto Rico. The list is long. The refugees that are coming from arid places in the Middle East, and all the other aspects that are hitting with climate change that you aren't realizing. It's going to require a mobilization effort far greater than simply ending fossil fuels. But unfortunately, because somebody got the bug up their ass about the word framework, they lost their mind and forgot that it's so much more than just getting off fossil fuels. Now, getting off fossil fuels is definitely a major part of that. But there is a whole slew of other aspects in there. Why do you suppose the people that are pro-off act, that don't bother checking into the Green New Deal beyond just, oh, it's a framework and I don't like that, okay? What do you suppose is the reason they stop short of really digging in and learning? Why do you think they stop short of actually understanding all the interconnecting points that have to be solved, so that when we do this, that not only do we have society prepared for the disasters that are going to come, even if we're successful at mitigating the worst of climate change. You know, throughout history, there's been new ice ages, there's been melts, there's been floods, there's been all kinds of cataclysmic events throughout the course of the Earth's history, beyond human history. And obviously, certain things happen in natural order. But with the changes that we've taken as human beings, by advancing the continual release of these greenhouse gases into the atmosphere, we have fundamentally changed the timeline by which these changes are occurring. And they're happening faster than you ever had any dream to believe. So it takes a much broader vision to solve the problems that we're about to face as a society than just simply off fossil fuels. So you notice that Tulsi Gabbard is against a federal job guarantee. That's a shame, isn't it? Because the federal job guarantee is the very thing that sets us up to have, the mobilization effort to satisfy all the requirements we're going to have as calamity comes our way, to provide people with a smooth transition, a just transition out of these really, really bad jobs, and for people that are living in those coastal regions that need to relocate. It provides them an avenue to find work in any community they choose to relocate to, if they so choose to relocate. But more importantly, so that people don't have to leave the communities that they've grown up in and love. It provides a place for them to stay, to hunker down and defend and support their local communities. All Fossil Fuels Act doesn't do that. The people against the job guarantee don't do that. Why do you suppose they stop short? Why do you suppose they do these half measures which avail us fucking absolutely nothing? Why do you suppose they do that? I used to be an unthinking populist. I used to not bother doing any research. It was easier just to go along with everybody and get angry at the same time they got angry and chase the same conspiracies they chased because I didn't want to be left behind. But I realized it was leading to a path to nowhere. So many of the people out there that are against solving any problems with climate change, that are against worrying about getting rid of fossil fuels, their primary objection is a loss of jobs, a loss of sustainable living, a loss of their way of life. You can laugh about it, you can blow it off, you can ignore it, but it will be to all of our peril that you do that. Because these people make up an incredibly large block of people, and that includes Democrats and Republicans, and of course, LOL libertarians. It includes a huge swath of people that genuinely don't take the time to understand economics, don't take time to understand the actual science behind climate change, and they also don't take the time to understand how dire the circumstances are, because that would require them to make fundamental changes, not only in their life, but the way they view the world. And most people are resistant to change. So the Green New Deal's framework that bothers so many people provides the just transition that the Off Act doesn't even think about doing. And oh, by the way, she's for a UBI, right? A UBI, $1,000, whatever. Federal job guarantee provides a living wage. Folks, a living wage that can't subsidize these shit wages for these bad things because you're working. You have a job in your local community. And it provides benefits on top of that. And you can pick up and go anywhere in the country you like, providing maximum freedom and maximum mobility. And we're not just talking about jobs for the man. We're talking about creating a public option for labor. A public option with a living wage that exceeds the UBI on every conceivable measure. The UBI leaves you stuck working for the man, working through their business cycle, dealing with their layoffs, dealing with their bullshit. $1,000 a month doesn't pay for squatola. Oh, but what about the moms? What about this? What about that? Did I not say that the job guarantee was about redefining what work is? Whether that be artistry, or whether that be a mom, or whether that be community child care, or whether that be taking care of a sick relative, or whether that be taking care of a child with special needs. We're redefining what work is, what is socially important to your community. So why would somebody be against the job guarantee? When you hear what I'm saying, why would they be that? This is what populism without knowledge does. And this is why it's so dangerous in so many ways. Not because it's beneficial. Oh, no. It's because a bunch of herd animals start following the wrong voice. And they don't do the homework. They tune out. And they think they got the freaking answers. and then they start leading other sheep astray. And pretty soon, you don't have any momentum. You got a bad policy, a bad bill, a bad candidate, and you get nowhere. The Green New Deal and all of its framework are intended to be there because it doesn't matter if someone just puts forward a bill. Because one bill is like ordering a potato off of an a la carte menu. We're not looking for a potato. We're looking for a whole damn system. With the changing climate, with the changing need to solve inequality. We're talking about a holistic change to the entire freaking system. So again, I come back to, how in the world would somebody come up with the idea that the Off Fossil Fuels Act is better than the Green New Deal? It simply isn't. Now, could the Off Fossil Fuels Act be part of a Green New Deal? Absolutely. But it's just a part of it. You see that? It's small ball. It's nickel and diamond. It isn't the whole enchilada. It's populism run amok on its own, especially with the concept of a freaking UBI as its base. UBI doesn't produce any of the things we need to be able to ensure that we are able to mobilize to save ourselves from extinction. Nothing. Not a fucking thing. The job guarantee provides a vehicle by which we can mobilize to do great things and to ensure the end of generational poverty and begin the important work of equality within our system. Now, for those people who can't work, or for even those that don't want to work, we already have a basic income out there in the form of Social Security that can be expanded to meet any number of different scenarios and can fill that void. But a basic income does not solve the problem of involuntary unemployment, and it does nothing to block the capitalists from further destroying us. But a job guarantee begins to eat away at the war machine because military is no longer seen as the employer of last resort. People now have other options. So when you think about policy space, and you understand how few people actually understand all the aspects of society, and you look at what happened in Minnesota with Bernie and Miss Omar and AOC and all the rest, and you watch this wave roll through of bright, intelligent people who have taken the time to understand the intersectionality of all the aspects that have to be done as this change comes through. You stop nickel and dime the a la carte menu at McDonald's with the Off Fossil Fuels Act, and you start looking at the holistic framework for redesigning society in a post-scarcity model, in a climate change mobilization model, in a modern money economy model. It's very difficult for me not to get angry when I hear people shortchange the conversation and jump to, well, we're just going to do this little tiny thing called All Fossil Fuels Act because that's just a framework over there. It's not anything. It's a non-binding framework. It's very difficult to not really start boiling when you think of people gambling with your life when they don't see the end-to-end importance. And it's not their fault necessarily. They've just got swept away in the herd mentality once again, and populism took over. Populism, which in and of itself is a great thing, until the wrong voice is leading it. Until you're stuck nickel and diamond things because the people didn't take time, because they don't really have the education or understanding of what a holistic end-to-end plan to redesign society in this environment means. It's tough. It's hard. It's not easy stuff. And yet it's necessary. It's absolutely vital. I think so often, for all the years that we couldn't answer the question, how are you going to pay for it? And then you see Hillary and others laughing when you talk about Medicare for all. And people still don't understand how to pay for it. And then you hear about parents with children with autism that don't have a chance to even take a shit because they're nonstop go, go, go. And they got no help. And then you look at the way society has taken away paid family and medical leave, and you look at the gig economy and how many people are contractors that have no time off, no holiday pay, no nothing. And the minute they have to take off, they lose a full day's pay. And then their mortgage goes in arrears, etc. I mean, the list of these things is long. And yet you got people saying, oh, the Off-Fossil Fuels Act's greater than the Green New Deal. At some point in time, I'd like to believe people will wake up and realize how big the problem really is and start addressing it instead of getting all caught up in populism and sliding over and being edgy and cool. I want to live. I want my kid to live. I want society reframed and restructured so that we're not constantly living as if the axe is going to fall and take us out because capital has decided to cut expenses and trim our jobs out of existence. I don't want another global financial crisis on top of all this to fall down on us. And now, instead of just dealing with climate change, we're also dealing with another purge of work, where we're losing millions of jobs a month, and people are destitute again. I can't stand the myopic small thinking that is attached to our ability to survive. It's infuriating. The job guarantee is the ultimate democracy enhancer. Your local communities gather at the town hall and they decide democratically what they in their local community are missing and need and want to fund. And then the federal government, who has crazy powers to spend money that the states and the local communities don't have, funds those jobs. Yeah. I want you to understand that if we don't solve these problems, and that's the point of the Green New Deal, it's structuring society to support the Off-Fossil Fuels Act and everything else in between. It's a holistic approach. To me, these one-off programs and policies, what they do is like saying, oh, I have a new way of paying my electric bill this month. you better believe it, I'm going to pay my bill on time. Here's a 30% credit card. Swipe, pay my electric bill. Damn it, I paid my electric bill. The electric bill was $300. Now, with interest, my electric bill is approaching $400 because I got to pay interest every month. Well, what a grand plan that was, isn't it? What a special plan that was. Instead of thinking about, well, hey, how can I restructure the situation so I don't compound my world so it's like a payday loan living existence? This is the problem, and it makes me angry. I'm not going to lie. I'd say it's inexcusable, but I understand why. I did the hard work. I went through the process of asking experts and trying to understand what this framework was all about. And there's so many parts of society that are going to be impacted by this. To go in this without building momentum, without building that populist energy, and showing how the dominoes fall to build a framework and to build policy through that framework to not only fix our fossil fuel dependency, but fix society. Without that, you're not going to get anything. And that's the truth. And please don't throw a UBI at me anymore. We got to mobilize to survive this, not lobotomize. And for the few of you out there who would just be gung-ho with your UBI and run out there and do something uncoordinated, not planned, not in any way, shape, or form structured, knock yourselves out. That is not how you mobilize to stave off cataclysmic climate change. That's not how we entered into World War II and survived it and did great things. That's not how we put a man on the moon. And that's not how we're going to survive this. It's very important that you take your religion and you put it over here and you start looking at the science and looking at the big picture and tracing the dominoes out, tracing out all the interconnecting points to understand how vast and broad this problem really is. And then take the steps to build the framework, fill in the framework to solve these very real problems we're facing. I'm Steve Grumbine with Real Progressives. Have a great day.